Hello, what's up, fight fans? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 148, I think it is, or UFC Nashville, whatever it is. Stephen Thompson against Anthony Pettis in a kind of weird main event. It really doesn't kind of help either guy here, especially Thompson, who I think's the kind of forgotten guy in the 170-pound kind of title kind of picture. He's kind of on the outside looking in, so this really does nothing to him by beating Anthony Pettis. But it's not my problem. I think it's going to be a fairly decent main event, just a little bit of a weird one. We're going to get into it in a second. Just like, comment, subscribe. I'm seeing a big uptick in subscribers. The goal to get to 3,000 by the end of the year is looking good. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support that I get. And just you guys are really, really good, knowledgeable fans, and I like that. And you're ready to, if something doesn't go right, you're there to say, look, I think you got this wrong and stuff like that. So you're just really good, knowledgeable fans, and I like that. So just let's get more people. Let's see if we can hit that 3,000 goal and go and support the rest of the guys that make content week in, week out, because they need the viewership as well. I think everybody should kind of get an equal kind of viewership. If some are better, then they can get more. I'm happy with what I've got now. I'd like to see my channel get bigger, because I never thought I'd be able to get that big. But like, comment, subscribe. You can find me on Twitter, Will Martin MMA. If you want to talk, direct message me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, we're going to get into this fight card. We're going to get through it quite quick. Last thing I'll say, new thing that's going to go on every Thursday at midnight over here in the UK. So 7 p.m. Eastern. I want to say 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. Over in the West, and in Central Europe, it might be like 1 in the morning. Thirsty Thoughts, it's going to be something I'm going to do every week. I had the first episode last week. The second episode is going to be this week. I think I'm going to pick 3 topics I'm going to speak about, and then I'm going to shoot the shit and take questions, kind of much like I did last week. It was just more chat about all things MMA and asking questions and so on. But yeah, that's something I'm going to do every Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. And let's get into this fight card. We're going to start off flyweight division. Eric Shelton against Jordan Espinoza. Espinoza's a 12-5 pro coming into the UFC after his win over Riley Dutro on Dana White Contender Series. And a pretty fun fight. A fight that, I mean, he fought twice on that, by the way. He fought Nick Arso, won that fight, and then he got his second opportunity and managed to get the stoppage, I think, right in the last couple of seconds of that fight. Showing that he's got power that kind of lasts throughout the fight. To be fair, Dutro, he had his hands low. In saying that, Espinoza was really the same. He went in there and had his hands very, very low. And both guys got hurt. Both guys got dropped in that fight, and he just found it, as the fight went on, his game came together and he managed to get the finish. In fact, he's 13-5. Shelton's 12-5. So both got pretty similar records. He fights out of Ohio. A couple of good wins. CJ Hamilton's a good win. Nick Arso, obviously, with his only loss, his recent loss, I should say, against Denis Palva out there in the East Coast, that he lost that one there. And I think he's solid. I think he's a solid addition. It's weird the UFC signing flyweights, because I think that's just that it's going to be fairly Thompson, so I can probably see him, if he loses this fight, getting his walking papers, which is a little bit sad. But most of his wins come via submission, so he is crafty on the ground. You look at Eric Shelton there, nothing too spectacular. Fought some decent caliber of opposition. Fights, nothing, like I say, nothing is really explosive or that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of blows your mind. Just a solid guy who, I'm starting to think, hopefully he's maybe starting to find his feet in the UFC. But his 2 wins, Chanel Laus and Bopa Morales, not great wins. His losses, Pantoja, Perez, they're not bad fighters. Jared Brooks is dogged, and close fights. Those takedowns of his are going to be big. I'm going to go with Eric Shelton. I think that this is going to be, I think he's going to be more crisp on the feet. I think he's going to get takedowns. I think that Espinoza is going to keep himself in the fight, and like I say, he's going to be someone to kind of be careful with. Don't get hit with the big shots. But I just think it's a experience gap, and also Eric Shelton being an Ultimate Fighter, that whole scenario, and this is the first fight for Espinoza moving up. So I'll take Eric Shelton via pretty unanimous decision. Ryan MacDonald, Chris Gutierrez. I mean, I watched this Ryan MacDonald. I think he's 10-0. I saw a couple of his losses where he lost a couple at amateur. I think he was like 8-2. So he's had, when I say 20-odd fights off the top of my head. And the very first fight I watched was against Matt Murphy. And man, that first round was rough. He did not look good in that fight at all. He was getting hit with a lot of shots. And to be fair, his opponent was not good either, Matt Murphy. And like, if we're being honest here, if you go... And I know you shouldn't really never really call it a fight. Like, you go and look at his opponents, but you look at his opponents and it's like really bad. It's kind of like, who was the guy that fought last week? The Romanian dude. It was more like what he was facing last week. He had a guy that fought a lot of cans and really showed nothing last week in London. But in this one here, I think he's very flat-footed. I think... he's solid in every aspect. He's just not spectacular in any one thing. Throws a fairly decent jab. But like I say, flat-footed, defense lacks. I don't think he's got the best kind of movements. And I think he's got a tough fight here in Gutierrez, who's getting his second fight in the UFC after that loss to Ione Barcelos. And Barcelos is an absolute beast. And in that first round, he was doing extremely well. Caught him. And it was a fairly vicious cut, but Barcelos is a beast, man. He's got a great fight coming up, by the way, at UFC 237 against Said Nurmagomedov. That's going to be a great fight. I think Gutierrez is just a little bit too... I think the experience helps. He's fought in bigger... he's fought better guys. Got some fairly decent wins outside the UFC, Valiev and stuff. He lost to him the second time around, but he's fought in big shows like the World Series of Fight, and obviously this is his second fight in the UFC, so... I like Gutierrez. I just don't see where Ryan MacDonald really kind of hurts him, not unless he catches him with a shot or maybe out volumes him. I just don't see it happening. I think Gutierrez is more aggressive. I think he's got more power. I think he's got more tools to win the fight, and I like him there. MacDonald, to me, just doesn't look... I mean, he's 25 years old. If I'm being honest with you, I'd be surprised if this guy wins a UFC fight. So I'll pick Chris Gutierrez via a TKO, maybe late round 1, early round 2. Women's strawweight division, we have Randa Markos, Angela Hill. I'll tell you what, this is I watched 2 fights of each, striker versus kind of grappler. None's really kind of good at either kind of thing. Markos has got terrible like defense. She gets hit a lot, but she keeps coming forward. She never kind of stops. She keeps at it. And coming off that draw last time, she's a quintessential win one, lose one type fighter until she kind of snapped that when she drew her fight against Marina Rodriguez in a close fight. I thought that she was a little unlucky, but I kind of edged it towards Rodriguez. She's going to look for takedowns in this one here, and like she's going to barrel forward and probably take some shots in that nose, which has been busted for years. It's the one thing that when I see this face, you can see her nose all flattened out and so on. Angela Hill, striker, she's going to want to keep this at distance, hit and kind of move and not get caught into the clinch position or pushed against the cage, where I think that Randa will be stronger. She will look to get those takedowns. I think she will get some takedowns, but it's the thing for Angela Hill here, if she doesn't get taken down, I think she wins the fight. I think she's got more volume and I think she'll be harder to hit. But I just think that Randa's going to maybe cut off the cage a little bit, put her against the cage and get takedowns through that. But honestly, I would not bet any money on this fight. I could not do it. This whole fight card actually looks very sketchy to me betting wise. It kind of reminds me of the Wichita card a little bit a couple of weeks back, where I got burned and got spanked big time. So I think I'll be pretty low on a couple of bets this week, if any. So for me, it's a dog or pass kind of situation if I was betting. Like I said, I think this has got smelly split decision written all over it. So who knows where it's going to go. I think if Randa gets takedown, she wins. If she doesn't, I think she'll get pieced up on the outside a little bit. But I'm going to go with Randa Markos. I think she gets the takedowns, and I think that she'll win the fight through that. But I think it's going to be super close and very greasy, as Cody Saftik says on the Dogger Pass podcast, Greasy Theory or whatever. So, yeah, shout out to all the guys I can see in the chat there. I can see you guys there. Yeah, moving on. Alexis Davis, Jennifer Maia, another tough fight to call. I think this one's another close one. I think Jennifer Maia is another kind of flat-footed striker who kind of really early on in fights gets pieced up, and then as she kind of the fight goes on, she actually gets better. Kind of that Muay Thai kind of fighter coming out of Brazil. Tough introduction to the UFC against Liz Carmouche, who just got more takedowns and was the stronger. She's probably one of the stronger fighters in that flyweight division. But she's not a fighter that's overly impressed me. Even in her Invicta days, I didn't think she was that great. And like I say, I think she'll, depending on how many fights she gets in the UFC, she might win the odd UFC fight. But like I say, I'm not sure about it at all. I think Alexis Davis, although I think from what I've seen in social media, she looks good and she looks ready to go. I'm still not really sold on her really making much progress. I think she'll win fights. But she'll maybe win one, win two, then lose a couple. She lost, like she won against Dandois, she won against Liz Carmouche, lost a kind of close fight against Chukagian. You're always going to get that when Caitlin, who doesn't really engage too much. Dangerous in a lot of aspects, but like it's another one that gets hit a lot. Striking defense is pretty bad. She's pretty aggressive coming forward. She'll look to put Maia against the cage. So I think one of the things I'm looking at here is who's going to establish and who's going to kind of lead the dance. I think that Davis will be that early on, but I can see her kind of gassing a little bit and maybe Maia coming into it late. So this is why I think it's another close fight, and it's another one I would never throw money on unless the lines were completely absurd. But I like Alexis Davis more. I think the aggressiveness that she shows earlier on kind of wins of the fight. Maybe she might win the first two, lose the third. I think she's got a pretty decent advantage if it gets to the ground. I think she's got a bit more experience there. But Maia, like I say, she doesn't throw an awful lot in volume, and I think she's very flat-footed, very hittable. But like I say, these last couple of fights, I've got no real confidence in the picks. I've got Randa in that one. I've got Alexis in this one. So I'm going to go Alexis Davis. Another probably split decision. I'm just not kind of sold on that at all. So, but who knows? Frankie Saenz against Marlon Chito Vera up next. I was fairly confident in Marlon Vera before that fight got pulled when Marlon Vera got flu in the day of the fight or contracted it on the day or whatever it was. But as this fight's kind of got put together again, like a couple of weeks later, I'm kind of thinking Frankie Saenz has got more a chance here. I don't know why. And this kind of happened with me with Montel Jackson and Brian Kelleher. Initially, I was on Brian Kelleher. That fight got rebooked a month or so later, and I went with Montel Jackson, and Montel Jackson absolutely starched him. And I'm not saying that Frankie Saenz is the same kind of fighter that Montel Jackson is, because Jackson's got a lot of things in his advantage with reach, just how youthful he is, where Frankie's kind of another scale of that. Older, probably in his last kind of couple of fights in the UFC. I'd be surprised if he sticks around and probably in the next year. But he's got that wrestling background. I think he's going to come out here and wrestle Vera. I think Vera gives you every opportunity to win aspects of the fight, and I think he will do that early on here. I've just got a kind of feeling that he might win the first round. Second round is going to be close. In the third, I think that maybe Chito will start to push the pace and kind of not get taken down. I think if he doesn't, I think he might start to get pieced up a little bit. Now, Saenz is coming off 2 wins over Davishvili and Briones. Not signature wins at all. I think the Mirab one's not a bad win to have on your record. Before that, he lost 3 in a row. So yeah, with Chito, like I say, I still think he's one of those guys that tries to get better kind of every fight, but there's nothing that really stands out with him. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Luigi Burin, Guido Canetti. So, and they were both stoppages kind of late in that second round, around that area. His 2 losses before that to DeAndrade and Lineker were beasts. Like I say, I can see. I think Canetti actually won that first round in their fight, and I can kind of see going similar on this one here. I think Saenz is going to start off well with his wrestling, win the first, and then I can just see I can see Chito finding something in those late rounds. So I'm going to go Chito Vera with a third round stoppage in that one there. But like I say, I'm not super confident in that one either. I've kind of changed. I was more confident the last time they were supposed to fight instead of this week. So yeah, bit silly, but yeah, it is what it is. Bryce Mitchell, Bobby Moffett is up next. I'll put my hand up straight away. I think that Bobby Moffett is someone I like in this fight here. The one thing I'll say about Bryce Mitchell, he is very, very scrappy, and he is down to fight. He will fight every kind of position. He will try. If his back's on the ground, on the mat, he will fight his way. He's just a scrappy. He's a kind of like a junkyard dog. Will fight. Will not stop fighting pretty much. Tyler Diamond. I thought actually Tyler Diamond beat him in that fight. I thought it was a close fight. I thought the takedowns won him it. But like I say, judges see different things and so on. Bobby Moffett coming off that win over Chaz Skelly, which is a little bit controversial. He locked in a beautiful submission there, and Chaz looked like he was on his way out. Looked like he was making his way to kind of going into maybe side control at one point. I thought he was about to kind of move out of there, but then the ref kind of jumped in and stopped it. And I think, I don't know, it's a hard situation for a ref to be in. And ultimately Bobby Moffett got the win there. I think Bobby Moffett can take him down here. I think this is going to be, like I say, it's hard to... Bryce Mitchell fights out at a little gym in Arkansas. Not that that's a bad thing. Like he's a country boy. He comes up there and he works hard, I'm sure. But being in a little gym like that can only take you so far. Bobby Moffett's coming out the MMA lab where he's going to be sparring good guys, UFC caliber guys. You wonder who Bryce Mitchell's going to be sparring with. But like I say, the guy is very, very scrappy in every aspect of the game. I think Bobby Moffett's got some good chokes, though. And I think eventually he'll catch Bryce Mitchell on the choke. So I'm going to go a late second round submission for Bobby Moffett. Moving on, main card. Maycee Barber, JJ Aldrich. This fight I've been flip-flopping like a bitch, big time. And I think it's because the bias I've got from JJ Aldrich beating her last time against Polyana Viana, where I cashed her as a big, big underdog in that one. I have no idea why I think it was plus 250, I want to say. And it was weird to me when I seen that and I watched some of the fights. I'm like, and it's turned out Viana's just not really that good either. But what I like about JJ Aldrich, nothing spectacular. Good output, good jab. Just a very workmanlike fighter. Gives you very little opportunities to really hurt her. But I think she gives up takedowns, and I think that Maycee Barber looks strong, especially in top position. I think her striking defense, Cypher's hit her with some big shots, but this girl throws a lot of volume. Like she really has got a pace about her which girls will not be able to keep up with. It's whether JJ can get away from Maycee, because I think Maycee's going to try and swarm her, push her back. I can see JJ trying to work from the outside and land some shots, not to get taken down, because I think when Barber gets in top, she is dangerous, man. Even in clinch positions, Cyphers was just leaving her head in there, and every time on the break, she was catching elbows. And I think eventually that maybe cut her up, and like once she gets you on the bottom, she's non-stop, and she goes, man. I still think she's got a lot of holes. Initially, I was on Maycee Barber. You probably asked me 2 days ago, I was probably in JJ Aldrich, and then I watched some fights again last night and early today, and I just think Maycee Barber's volume and her pace is going to win her this fight. I think she is going to get takedowns. I think she's going to take some licks in this one. I also think the fact that she's not cutting down to 115 and fighting at 125 is going to benefit her so much. I think they're similar sizes, these two girls here, but they definitely push a different pace. And for that, I'm going to pick Maycee Barber. I think she gets the fight to the ground. I think her volume is a lot more than what JJ has. I just think that JJ, in the past, you've watched the Juliana Lima fight, there's holes in her game where she can be taken down. If Maycee can exploit that, I think her top control and her pressure with her strikes is going to win her this one. So I'll go Maycee Barber, actually. a third round finish there. This fight, I have no idea about the betting line in this one. Luis Pena against Steven Peterson. I'm going to actually check. I've not checked the lines all day. Yesterday I had a look. Luis Pena is a minus 300 favourite. A minus 300 favourite. And Steven Peterson is plus 250. Now, Steven Peterson's got a lot of holes in his game. He really has. He gets hit a lot. He leaves his chin out there to get hit. Leaves his hands down, and like I say, he defends with his chin, and that's never a good thing in the UFC doing that. Won a very close split against Makdessi, lost to Brandon Davis, lost to Benny Lopez via split. The guy is a game guy. He's hard to get out of there. He really is. He's faced some good guys like Leandro Higo, Manny Vasquez. He's fought some good guys. Benny Lopez, like I said, he's a decent fighter, a young fighter still. Gets hit far too much, but the guy never gives up, and his pressure, he just never gives up. He keeps coming forward, and no matter how many shots he takes, he will fight to the bitter end. And Luis Pena, the big thing with this one here, he's dropping down. Now, this guy's 6'3", and he's dropping down an extra 10 pounds. I thought he looked very thin at the weigh-ins at 155. I don't know how he's going to manage to get that extra 10 pounds off and get down to 145. I just don't know how he's going to do that. I really don't. And that's huge here, because I think his way to win is to try and get this guy out early, and he's hard to get out. Now, Pena, to his credit, he's got some nice things there. He's got obviously a long jab. He's going to be longer here. He fights long, but I think he gives openings. I bet Mike Trezano last time out, and people were super confident, parlaying him and saying that Mike Trezano sucks and this and that. Luis Pena is still super green. 6 or 7 fights he's had. Steven Peterson's, this is going to be fight number 25. I mean, I can see why people why appealing. I don't think he's all that great fight. I still think he's far too early in his UFC time. I don't think he should have got. And people were bigging him up after beating Richie Smalling. Richie Smalling's not a great fighter. I mean, he's a kind of leg lock guy, a bust. Pena, I don't know where he's been for this camp. I don't know whether he's been out at AKA with DC and the crew like he was for the last fight. I just don't think he looked that good against Trezano. Trezano was kind of piecing him up, mixing it up. And I cashed him. I think he was plus 320 or plus 330. I think I got him there. Crazy line. And then again, he is a big favourite. Again, I don't see it. I don't think he should be a favourite over anybody. Minus 300 over anybody in the UFC. And like I said, Steven Peterson leaves a lot of holes, but I think his pressure is going to break Luis Pena late in this fight. I think he will get some takedowns. I think he will just start to outwork Luis Pena. I think Pena might start off well early, but I think late on in this fight that Steven Peterson is going to take over and win by decision. His odds are plus 250. I'm kind of thinking I want to take a shot on that, but then I remember it's Steven Peterson. I don't think he's that great a fighter, in all honesty. But at those odds, I think a small shot on him is worth it, personally. I still think that Luis Pena should go out and just work his way kind of into the UFC. He came in far too early. I know he came through the tough show, had that injury, but I just think another 5-6 fights out there and try and prove it and try and learn would be beneficial for him. But yeah, I'm going to go Steven Peterson via decision in that one there. I really am. I think it's a fairly decent fight. It's actually one of the fights I'm looking forward to, just for the betting line aspect and the matchup between them. I'm going to go Steven Peterson via decision. Opinion, Jussier, Formiga, Deiveson, Figueiredo. Big fan of Figueiredo, big fan of Formiga. Both guys with kind of different styles. Again, a fight at flyweight. I don't know why, especially for someone like Figueiredo, who's I've watched a couple of interviews in the past. He says he hates cutting to 125, and like if he's not going to get a shot at the title, because from what I'm kind of hearing, is Cejudo is going to be fighting TJ again in the summer. So maybe an interim title comes in with Benavidez. I don't know. Deiveson might, if he was to win this fight, or Jussier would would face Benavidez again. Figueiredo is been super exciting since coming to the UFC. I think that there's definitely holes there, but the guy's got some big power, and he can hurt you big time. He showed that in the Moraga fight. He showed that in the Morales fight. You give this guy an opportunity, and with the power that he's got, he will take you out. And we've seen with these bigger kind of hitters that Formiga's faced in the past, not saying that Benavidez is known as a power puncher or whatever, but Dodson was at the time. Who else knocked him out? There's someone else I thought knocked him out. Was Benavidez? Yeah. That was a knee to the body that kind of shut him down in that one there. But this is a big fight for Figueiredo for the simple fact that we're going to see if he's a top 5 guy, because I see Jussier Formiga as a top 5 guy. And his way to victory, and you've seen it in the Sergio Pettis one, he wants to backpack you. And that's what he's going to have to do here, because I think you can take down Figueiredo. We've seen that in the Jared Brooks fight. Now, Jared Brooks was a in-your-face wrestler looking to take you down. Actually, when I watched that back, I still think that Jared Brooks got the raw end of the stick there. And if that was in America, he wins that fight. If it wasn't in Brazil, I don't think Figueiredo wins that fight. So it's what it is. He's come off 3 wins over Sasaki, been the win via submission, and then he really just backpacked Sergio Pettis and really gave him a lesson in control, pretty much. And that's what he's going to do here. Formiga's going to have to use his striking to get in close and try and clinch. He's very astute with his takedowns. Nice trips, finds the slightest little mistake that you make to get to the back, to control, to get takedowns. He will drop down for a single leg to try and just get your butt on the ground. And then from there, he will tie up your leg. And he's going to find it hard to get back to his feet. Now, I think Figueiredo is the type of fighter that will fly through that. If he gets taken down, I can see him getting back to his feet a couple of times, but I can see if Formiga can keep a hold of him, just getting those little trips, it's going to win him rounds. But on the feet, I think it's going to be sketchy for Formiga. That's what I'm saying. He has to close the distance, I think, to get those takedowns, and that's going to be hard enough to do against anybody. And Figueiredo is a beast. 15-0 undefeated, got all that confidence coming out of Team Alpha Male. He's been there for a couple of weeks, kind of on the fade Team Alpha Male kind of side at the minute. I'm struggling with this one, but I feel like I'd rather take the shot on Jussier Formiga to win the fight. He's just crafty. He's a crafty fighter. He always has been. He's one of the guys I actually like watching a lot, just with his skill set, because it's very nothing flashy, but very, very good. And that's how I've got him here. I've got him winning via split decision. Actually, I hope Deiveson wins, but my pick for this one, I'm going to go for Jussier Formiga, but I couldn't bet against someone like Figueiredo because he could turn the lights out in Formiga pretty quick. But yeah, I'll go Formiga on that one. John Makdessi, Jesus Pinedo. This was a fight I actually had a bet on, Hapras with Nathaniel Wood, and then that got kiboshed last week. I'm going to go John Makdessi. Jesus Pinedo, I knew he wasn't good in his first UFC fight, but my goodness, against Devin Powell, that was rough. Like, his striking is super wild, nothing accurate. He wings everything. Takedowns, I think, really won him that fight. Devin Powell, yeah, was he the worst fighter in the UFC? Possibly. But what the guy was, he was game, he was gritty, he was hard to get out of there. And Pinedo, I don't know how long this guy's going to stick around. I think that he's one of those guys. He might turn out to be better than I actually think he is. But nothing really impressed me in that fight with Devin Powell. Now, Makdessi, I'm still not sold on as a great fighter, but I think he's got a good skill set. He kind of sticks to his low volume. And he's doing that, like, he's moved to Rufus Sport, and since then he's won himself a couple of fights, able to heal Ross Pearson, and they're kind of declining a little bit as well. I thought he was done. I think everybody thought he was done after the Lando Venato one there, where they're saying he wasn't going to come back and so on. But it seems like this new camp has rejuvenated him, and yeah, I just think this is going to be a low volume fight. I think that as Pinedo's swinging those bombs, I think that Makdessi will counter strike him. I think he will just pick him at distance. And Pinedo I think he's too wild, and I just think he'll get picked apart with clean shots. Can Pinedo get him down? Possibly. I think that's maybe a good way for him maybe to win the fight, but for me, I'd rather pick John Makdessi. I think I picked the one good spot that Pinedo will win in the UFC, and it was against Devin Powell. I would actually be surprised here if Jason Pinedo came out and beat John Makdessi here, but I don't know what the betting line actually is for that. Makdessi minus 325. Ooh, yeah, no danger am I ever betting that. But yeah, co-main event: Justin Blaydes, Justin Willis. A hard fight to kind of call here because Justin Willis, I think I seem to pick against him all the time, and he wins. I don't know why I picked Mark Hunt last time. That was a bad pick, and it's one that kind of wrinkles with me a little bit that I picked him there. And Curtis Blaydes is coming back after that big knockout loss to Ngannou, so it's interesting to see what he's going to do here because we've never seen Justin Willis taken down. We know who he trains with at AKA, with Kane and DC. Like I say, we've not seen him taken down, so that's a big thing as well. I think on the feet, I think the only time we've not seen Curtis Blaydes take someone down was actually someone with a kind of similar, kind of short, stocky guy like Willis. Willis is a kind of smaller guy. I want to say he's like 6'3", which is, well, not really small. No, he is smaller than that. I'm looking at the wrong record. Justin Willis, 6'1", and Blaydes is 6'4". That's what it was. So he is a shorter guy for the heavyweight division. He's going to be hard to get down. I think Blaydes' style, especially here, like we've seen that he can't really take a shot, and Willis is not really shown that he's a power puncher per se, because he's not. He's just not shown it. And the only knockout we've seen in the UFC was Alan Crowder, where he caught him in the first round there. Kind of more a volume guy. I think he's got fairly decent jab. Some of his combinations are okay, but like I say, he can be got at, and he's going to be watching what he's throwing here, because I think Curtis Blaydes is just going to be shooting on him majority of the fight, and like when he gets takedowns, he gets them in abundance. But yeah, I'm just interested to see what Curtis Blaydes does here. I don't think he wants to kind of stick on the feet. I think he wants to use his bread and butter, and that's obviously his grappling. But the X factor is here that we've never seen Willis taken to the mat. So, and the betting lines, he's minus 300 as well, Curtis Blaydes, and that's a little bit iffy as well, because like if Willis stops the takedowns, then 50-50 fight, I think. But I feel more confident picking Curtis Blaydes, in my opinion. So I actually love watching Curtis Blaydes fights. Went back and watched pretty much all his fights in the UFC, and I watched about 3 of Justin Willis. But yeah, if you want to take the shot on Justin Willis, I don't think it's a bad bet overall. I wouldn't go big on it, but I'll go Curtis Blaydes via decision in that one. And the main event of the night, we've got Wonderboy Stephen Thompson against Showtime Anthony Pettis, and just a weird fight for Stephen Thompson personally. I think that Pettis, what he is now, is just a complete gatekeeper at 155. Will still give you exciting fights, will still take out some guys in that top 15 and give you moments like he did in the Tony Ferguson fight, where he hurt Tony, nearly got him out of there. But the one thing that shows when you watch, and like I always watch a lot of fights when Pettis has a fight schedule, because there's not many bad ones in there, to be honest with you. Going back 4 years ago, probably it's now March 2015. That's the kind of time where he kind of got found out. Dos Anjos really beat his ass in that fight and really crippled him. And since then, every fight that he's lost, he's taken a shit ton of damage. Even a couple of fights that he's won, or the one fight, the Oliveira, I still think he took some punishment in that one there. But Dos Anjos absolutely broke him mentally as well in that fight. Barbosa, I was at that fight at 197, and he pieced him up in his leg. I saw him hobbling around the MGM after that. Like I say, Oliveira made that drop to featherweight, took a little bit of damage in that one. Max Holloway, absolutely killed him. Got the win over Jim Miller. Dustin Poirier, I don't want to say he quit because he had a rib injury, but Dustin Poirier broke him. Had a good matchup against Chiesa, and then, like I say, he had his spots in that Tony Ferguson fight. Gave as good as he got, but just Tony's sheer perseverance in that fight. And right, shout out to Tony Ferguson. Hopefully he gets everything sorted with personal matters, by the way. That's pretty gruesome reading, watching last week with some of his kind of mental things that are going on and his family and that. So hopefully he gets back in the cage soon if everything's sorted. But like I say, he kind of went to the corner and the corner stopped it there. And he's coming into this fight. He's moved up to 170, so he's going to be fully hydrated. He's not going to be cutting any weight whatsoever. So that's a plus. I think maybe the thing that I was thinking about and the reason why he took this fight was because that he knows that Wonderboy's not going to take him down. I'd be surprised if Wonderboy tries to take him down. Everyone else tries to take him down. Poirier did. Chiesa tried to. Holloway, Ferguson was looking at that as well. So, yeah, Wonderboy's not going to take him down. So you're going to have that karate style against that taekwondo style. And you know what Pettis, he always tries to mix his things up. I've seen a lot of people like downplaying this fight being boring over 20 happen. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be this one where they're like using sidekicks to keep it distance and just point fighting each other. I think we're going to see certainly some stuff from Pettis. He's always going to try something out there. I think they're both going to have their spots in this fight. I'd love to see if this fight goes to the ground and Pettis gets an opportunity to get a submission lock on there, a rear naked choke, or get in a position where he could get the back, because he's dynamite in the ground. He really is. He's a really good fighter with his submissions. But I can see just Wonderboy. This is a weird fight for Wonderboy. I've thought that since it got announced, because it does nothing for him at 170. But it's a fight for either guy where he's fighting a former champion. Pettis has got another like big name on his resume. He's like fought the best of the best at 155, went down to 145, beat a couple of guys there. Or a guy faced the top guy down there, and he's moving up and facing one of the top guys at 170. And also maybe I think that Duke Rufus actually called for this fight. I think it's a fight that he thought Pettis could win. So they're maybe seeing something in Wonderboy that they can exploit. But I just find that I've actually seen a lot of people on Twitter. Now I don't. That's kind of saying something. It doesn't really matter. But they're betting Anthony Pettis. Now I don't think it's a bad underdog shot, obviously, because he's plus 365. Big odds for a former UFC champion. I can see why people are doing it. And in the matchup, I think it could be close. I think he could have his moments, definitely. I just don't see it. You guys know I'm a huge Pettis fan. I want Anthony to win this fight 100%. But looking at the matchup, I just think that Stephen Thompson's going to land the better strikes. I think he's going to be cleaner. As he's throwing those strikes, I think he's going to be getting out of the way of anything that Pettis is throwing. But like I say, I would love to see this fight hit the mat. I really would. It'd be interesting. A really interesting aspect of the fight happen. But I'm going to go Wonderboy Thompson. Could he stop him? Actually, I think he could. I was going to pick him via decision. Am I still going to pick him via decision, or am I going to pick him via stoppage? Because like I say, the damage meter on Pettis is crazy. Like, he's taking so much damage, it's not even funny. No, I'll stick to my original thought, which was Wonderboy via unanimous decision. So I'm going to pick Stephen to win via unanimous decision. So yeah, that's my picks for UFC Nashville. We're back next week for Edson Barboza against Justin Gaethje. Holy shiza. What a great fight that is. Looking forward to that. Fairly decent card with Hermanson, David Branch, Josh Emmett returns against Michael Johnson. Shimon Moraes against Sodiq Yusuff. Great fight. Enrico Barzola, Kevin Holland. Good fights next week. Looking forward to that. But Barboza Gaethje, holy shoot. That is a good fight. Looking forward to talking about that one. Until next week, like, comment, subscribe. And as always, thank you for the support, guys. All the best and enjoy the fights this weekend when they come around.